Hi guys, it's great to see you again. In this lecture, we'll start discussing how to handle media data with Firebase. This is kind of an auxiliary lecture to help us understand the key ideas in big picture. You don't need to type in the code because we'll start over in the next lecture. Okay, you probably heard about the Firebase storage. Now, we'll try to understand what it really is, why we need it, and what we get from it. Alright, it's natural to start with how we handle text messages. Recall, this is how we upload text data to the database. We create a data dictionary, then push it to a message location on the database. What we concern now is the text key. We might think that we can simply replace the text key with string values, by say a photo key with UI image values, and reuse the code. Right? Because why not? But actually, Firebase database doesn't support that. Moreover, the structure is also flexible this way. Alright. Before Firebase 3, many people upload photos to the Firebase database by first converting them to strings and then treat the strings as the input text. That works, but is not so great. Converting photos to strings and vice versa is very time consuming. So this way is not practical. Fortunately, there's a practical way to handle media data with Firebase even without Firebase storage. Alright, so let's talk about it. Again, we'll discuss how to handle media messages only using the tools we have so far. Precisely, we'll talk about how to retrieve media data and display them on the chat view. And you'll see why. Alright, let's get started. To begin, say somehow you have a photo stored somewhere. How you uploaded this photo isn't really important at this point. Say, here's your data. It's just an arbitrary photo somewhere on the internet. What we need is its URL. We'll display this photo on the chat view by reusing this snippet. Alright, to do that, we need to create a reference to store message data. As before, let's give it a random ID. For the value, as for text messages, we're going to need a data dictionary. So, click Add. Similar to text data, the first key is media type. The type then, photo. Of course. Next key is going to be sender ID. Make it 1 as before. Remember, it's a string. The next key of this data dictionary is sender name. So let's make it Zero2Launch. All right, great. And finally, file URL. Its value is the URL string of the photo we want. And add. Okay, there's an error. It's expected because in the observing method, we're trying to extract the text value of every data snapshot. And the data we've just added doesn't have a text key. So we need to check if the data contains text or photo, and handle each one accordingly. So an if statement is our best friend now. So extract the text value if the data dictionary has a text key, because we're not sure if it does, this should be a question mark. The text can be nil, so we can't forcibly convert it. If it isn't nil, then encode it into a JSQ message. Otherwise, meaning the data dictionary has no text key, so the text value is nil. That is, the data dictionary now contains media data. Then, as we did for the fake data, we're going to encode this data into a JSQ photo message to display on the chat view. Alright, good. But we need to know what exactly we got now. So let's print the retrieved dictionary. Alright, cool. We expect to see all 3 existing data dictionaries on the database printed to the console. We talked about that in previous lectures. Here's the data, and this is the media message data. To get the photo, we'll first need to extract the file URL value. So in the else branch, let's just get this file URL value from the data dictionary. So let file URL be the value of the data dictionary, corresponding to the key file URL. And convert this any object to a string because file URL is a string on the database. Now uncomment these 2 lines to encode the photo into a JSQ message. Good, the logic is done, now we just need to hook things up. We knew that to create a JSQ photo item, we need an UI image. So the input picture here should be a UI image. So let's create a UI image picture from, let's say, the file URL we retrieved. The file URL has all information allowing us to do that. Fortunately, we can't do this directly. Instead, we'll instantiate this UI image from, let me see, here it is. NS data. All right, let's call this NS data data, just something that we'll convert from the file URL. You can guess what's next. We can get this data by instantiating an NS data from the file URL. Look through the NS data class. You can quickly find that it has an initializer which takes in an NS URL input, which is exactly what we want. All right? Good. We'll create this NS URL input from the file URL we retrieved. All right. Because the file URL we retrieved is a string, so we'll initialize this NS URL from a string. You can find this initializer in its declaration. All right? The input string will be our file URL, no surprise. We simply created an NS URL from the file URL string to create an NS data. Oops, we need to unwrap the optional NS URL and also the NS data because it's optional. We can safely unwrap these things because we know they're not nil by the if block. There's still an error. All right, here's why. Because we're using these properties inside a closure, we'll need to use the self keyword. So let's put self in front of these properties. All right, let's see. There's still an error. Let's see. Okay, we forgot to use self for the message array. We need the self keyword here because we're using these variables inside a closure. And they're properties of the chat view controller. All right, let's see if there's anything left. Let's see. Okay, I think we're good. All right, let's run the app and see. To remind you, we're trying to display this random photo to the chat view using its URL stored in the Firebase database. The process is from URL to NS data to UI image. Great, it's working. We can do the same thing for videos. You can imagine that the photo is stored in some sort of data storage like Amazon or Google data storages. As long as you know how to interact with the data sources and directly via the data URLs, instead of with the data directly, you can utilize Firebase real-time synchronization. Now, you can guess what the role of Firebase storage is in this picture. It's simply a place where we save media data. And we handle the saved data indirectly via their URLs using Firebase database. Due to the observe event type method, the database knows what's happening in real time, whereas the storage doesn't. The storage is just some sort of convenient data storage, which is probably a bit easier to work together with other Firebase services. So now we know how to retrieve media data from the Firebase database and display them to the chat view. Next, we'll learn how to save media data to the Firebase storage and to refer to this data in the Firebase database. All right, we'll do that in the next lectures. See you then!